You know, me and my brother, we're gonna rule London.
Welcome back to another Kray video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any videos. And for people really into the Krays, join our private Facebook group, Krays Crime Lords of London, where you will find stuff probably unavailable anywhere else. We're an established group with a large membership, and best of all, we're friendly. The link is in the YouTube description section.
Welcome back. We continue my story of my time with the Krays. They were crazy days. My name is Albert Donoghue. I was chief growler and rent collector for Ronnie and Reggie right up to 1968, when we were all arrested by Nipper Reid and his Scotland Yard team. Ronnie Kray and Dickie Morgan had just been granted visas to enter America. The next thing we know, on the 3rd of April, 1968, they fly to Paris, then on to New York. Something had to be going on. I imagine the feds, encouraged by Scotland Yard, just let them in to see who they'd meet. The trip was only allowed to proceed because it served law enforcement's purposes. The feds did not even have to tail them all the time because Cooper acted as their guide and chaperone, and must have been telling the Bureau everything that was going on. Not that they did any business with the genuine mafia. That whole trip was a joke. But oh, when Ronnie and Dickie came back, weren't they full of it? It had been such a lovely holiday. They had photos of all the famous names they'd met: Robert Preston, the actor, Rocky Graziano again, and a few other old fighters, all introduced to them by American gangsters, so we were told. But I could tell they had been conned because of something that was said during the homecoming party we held at the Grave Morris. This happened to be attended by a couple of Yanks in town on other business. Right in front of them, Ronnie was saying how his New York friends even took us round and showed us the garage where they did the St. Valentine's Day massacre. Well, when I heard this, I looked at one of the Yanks and screwed up my face as if to say, "Hold up, this cannot be right." The Yank shook his head at me as if to say, "Button your lip." So I said nothing. But I thought, these guys know. The massacre happened in Chicago, not New York. So these so-called mafiosi had been taking the piss by showing Ronnie around some local garage and saying this was where they did it. The truth is, the twins weren't close to the mafia at all. The mafia wouldn't have considered them seriously, either as partners or rivals for very long, because the twins had no real organization. And their clownish love of publicity was bound to attract heat from the police in the end. The real bosses of New York's mafia crime families were establishing their own foothold in London at the very time the twins were at their most powerful. And for a while, they were looking around for partners. But once they'd checked on the twins, they must have realized these jokers would be a liability. While Ronnie and Dickie were in New York, they did meet a couple of second-rate mobsters, but there was only one significant crook who tried to do business with them, a guy called Joey Kaufman. He had done some work for the mafia, but he was mainly a freelance fraudster who was coming to London with stolen bonds for the twins. When Nipper Reid closed in, Kaufman would be caught in his hotel with a lot of these bonds, so he wasn't too clever. Later, when we all got locked up in Brixton, Reggie had a fight with Kaufman and broke his chin. It was a fitting finale to the twins' ludicrous dreams of conquering the criminal world in league with the honoured society. In the end, it was Ronnie and Reggie who suffered worst from the gangster complex. There was just one more crazy assassination plot for Cooper to cock up, one with an even more sinister twist than the cyanide briefcase. This job involved another boss of London's underworld, Bernie Silver, a man as eminent in his territory as the Krays. Silver was the vice king of Soho. He was the prince of Ponces. He ran the property side of prostitution. He used to let rooms to girls for as much as 50 quid a night. That was a huge amount then, but they would pick that up from 5 punters at £10 a trick. In their terms, just 1 hour's work. Silver also had clubs, for which the twins were taking £60 a week protection money off him. This was collected by old Joe Schaffer, who used to bring it over every Monday. Ronnie was now telling me they wanted a full share in Silver's clubs, and they dreamed up a wicked scheme to get it. By coincidence, Silver had just come to them with a problem he wanted solving. He didn't know that the way they were planning to solve it, he would have a far bigger problem on his hands. It was all to do with a Maltese guy called George Caruana, who, Silver said, was upsetting his business. One evening, around March 1968, we were suddenly told, right, get in the car, we're going to the Gallipoli, the Turkish restaurant off Liverpool Street, where we'd nearly had a battle with some off-duty coppers a year or two before. This evening, my job was to watch Reggie's back, and Ian Barry had to watch out for Ronnie. We went in and found a couple of guys waiting, no less than Bernie Silver and his Maltese partner, Big Frankie Mifsud. Silver was Jewish, but he was running Soho in league with a lot of malts. Then it dawned on us that Bernie Silver could not stand Ronnie. He wouldn't talk to him. He wouldn't even sit with him. Reggie and Bernie sat on one table, but Ronnie had to slum it with the rest of us. No wonder Ronnie wanted to double-cross him. Later, Ronnie filled me in on Silver's problem. According to Reggie, a Maltese called George Caruana was causing Silver aggravation. He didn't want Caruana dead, but the twins had decided that the malt would be killed anyway. Then, when he turned up dead, they could steam into Silver, blackmail him and finally take over his clubs. Then Ronnie added, so we're going to test Cooper's man on Caruana. If he does it all right, we'll give him £1,000, and then there'll be other jobs for him later. Here we go again, I thought. Surely we had seen enough of his work by now to know he was all mouth. Then I realised that Ronnie had begun to suss him out too. Next we had a meet in the flat in Braithwaite House with me, Reggie, Ronnie, Dickie Morgan and Cooper himself. Ronnie gave him the contract on Caruana. Then suddenly he read the riot act. He told him, you've had 3 goes at the other fella, at the Old Bailey, at Winston's and at Pitcairn House, and you blew the lot. Now this is your last chance. He said afterwards that if Cooper didn't do it this time, they'd know for sure he was a blowout. But again, Cooper came up with a scheme that appealed to Ronnie's love of novelty and spectacle. This international hitman was going to wire up Caruana's car and blow him to pieces. By now, Silver had realised what the twins were doing. He changed his mind about involving them over Caruana and tried to call them off. But the twins wouldn't have that. They said in effect, no, we're going through with it. This way they would bring Silver into line. What's more, they were going to blow up Caruana right outside the Islet town, Big Joe Wilkins Casino in Curzon Street. At that time, there was only one clubland operator bigger than Silver, and he was Joe Wilkins. He also owned Winston's and a couple of other clubs. Doing Caruana outside the Islet town was designed to bring him into line too. It would send him a message that he would have to pay tribute to the twins, just like Silver. So the twins' entire scheme now added up to putting the big squeeze on 2 very rich operators, killing Caruana and trying out their new hitman, a triple coup. To them, this was superb business thinking, and what could Silver do? He was in no position to call it off, because he had never called it on. Who could he complain to? He must have been in a bad state, shitting himself, I should think. He had nowhere to go. All he could do was offer them money. But the twins weren't interested in money. No. They wanted him and his entire business, which was of a kind they had never got into before. They wouldn't have bothered to run it themselves. They would have found 2 or 3 faces in that game already, Greeks or Maltese, then put them to work in Silver's places, always trying to ensure most of the take came back to the firm. That was the grand scheme. But they would have screwed it up, just like they screwed up Esmeralda's barn. Tommy Cowley knew Caruana slightly, so one night he took Cooper out to identify him at some spieler. Afterwards, I heard Cooper talking about Caruana and telling the twins, "I'll make sure of this one, leave it up to me." I thought, oh yeah, here we go again. Especially when I heard the MO. Cooper's brilliant but invisible hitman was going to buy 6 sticks of gelignite to fit up Caruana's car, but 6 sticks would have taken out the whole of Curzon Street, not just the car. If this stuff had gone off, he would have got 8 years just for the jelly, and life many times over for mass murder. But in April 1968, this crazy scheme collapsed like all the rest when, as we heard, this hitman had gone up to Scotland to get the gelignite from a quarry. Sure, he'd got the jelly and he still had it on him when he was captured by the police. Cooper came to the flat to confess. The twins were a bit upset, but rather more worried if the hitman would squeal. Cooper said the man was sound and they believed him. Then they became suspicious because there was no proof that Cooper's hitman had appeared at any court. They got a few Glasgow papers sent down and there was nothing in them. Later, Reggie said that the hitman had been charged, although I don't know how he found that out. Much later, when we all got wiped up, it turned out that the hitman, who was called Paul Elvey, was captured in Glasgow trying to board a plane for London with 3 dozen sticks of gelignite. This would have brought down not just Curzon Street, but the Hilton Hotel too. Elvey was also the man Cooper had dispatched to the Old Bailey to kill Evans with the cyanide briefcase. Apparently, he really had gone there twice before giving up. He had got picked up with the jelly because Nipper Reed had put him under surveillance. Nipper got him to tell all, and he named Cooper as his contact. Nipper then cracked Cooper, but kept him in play, so the twins wouldn't know for sure if he had turned informer. Of course, back in April 1968, we knew none of this for sure. What we did know was that we never saw Cooper again. The twins were furious that he'd gone missing. Ronnie had his home phone number, so he asked me to phone him. At first, a woman answered who I assumed was Mrs. Cooper. She said he was being treated for ulcers in a clinic in Harley Street. Then I rang the clinic and put Ronnie on to speak to Cooper. They spoke about hotel bookings for Joey Kaufman, who had just come over with their forged bonds. After this conversation, there was some sense of business as usual with Cooper, but by now the twins were very suspicious, and they believed he might already be helping Nipper Reed. They said that if they found this out for definite, he would be on the list. Of course, he was well and truly in Nipper's clutches by now. Indeed, it was Nipper who stuck him in the clinic to keep him in circulation. All this only goes to show that when it comes to hiring hitmen and bumping people off, you should always stick to the tried and tested killer you already know. The twins should have dropped Cooper as soon as his first schemes collapsed and his guns failed to fire. Certainly long before they started using him as a hitman. After all, when it came to killing, there was always someone in South London ready, willing and able to do the job. Aside from the killing of Frank Mitchell, I always had a lot of time for Freddie Foreman. And at one point I was thinking of switching companies and joining him. I'd often see him over on our side of the river. Then I'd be in his place, the Prince of Wales. We'd mix with other villains, having a drink and a chat about things like who's in the nick, who ain't, and who's coming out. Freddie was a lot more organised than the twins ever were. He always had information. He was more alive than the twins. He knew what was going on. He was into work rather than just spreading fear. In fact, I was looking for a way to join up with his firm if an opportunity ever arose to leave the twins. One of his nicknames was Brown Bread because it rhymes with Fred. It's also Cockney rhyming slang for dead. I had done Freddie a few favours myself. One night I went in the Stork Club up the West End, and I saw him sitting on his own, looking a bit fixed. So I said, "You all right, Fred?" And he said, "Have you got a tool?" And I said, "No." So he said, "There's a face in here, Noddy." So I said, "Well, just order a toasted sandwich, and they'll give you a knife. Only a dinner knife, but it's better than nothing." Then I said, "Is it going to be off then?" Meaning, was he going to go for this Noddy and do him right there in the Stork? And he said, "No, but just in case." Later, I was sent over to South London one Sunday to be taken around the little drinkers, including a conservative club, to find Noddy and clock his face for future reference. Then, when everyone was nicely safe so they'd have alibis, this Noddy could be seen to. We didn't follow it through, but again, that would have been in return for them doing Mitchell. The plot to kill Jim Evans was never called off. We were still meant to be looking to do him right till the end. In the first few days of May, Ronnie Kray gave me a piece of paper with a car number on it. TVX 482E. He said, "Take that over to Freddie. Tell him that's Evans's car. It's a white Zephyr or Zodiac. He'll be able to check it through a car dealer. I was just choosing a good time to cross the river and take this message to Freddie when the moment we'd all been expecting finally arrived." At last, Scotland Yard had got its act together. In May 1968, we were having a night up west in the Astor Club. I was sitting with Reggie, separate from the rest of the crowd. They used to have club photographers there, and one girl kept taking flash photos of me and Reggie. This was normal, except the rule was that pictures were to be taken only on request. So I asked Reggie, "Have you asked her to take photos?" He said, "No." Then I said to her, "Who's told you to take these photos?" And all of a sudden she burst into tears and ran off. Well, even if I did snap at her, this was an extreme reaction. It was obvious she was taking the photos on someone else's instructions, and that's why she was nervous. Straight away, the alarm bells are ringing in my guts. I looked around, and I realized the place was crawling with old Bill. Even in plain clothes, they stick out a mile. I tell Reggie, but we're not greatly fussed because this has been going on around the twins for 3 years. In the early hours, we all clear off. We're not expecting police action tonight, but we know they are definitely stepping up their surveillance. Even so, Ronnie and Reggie are very relaxed. Despite our collective paranoia, we don't decide to sleep at secret addresses or duck out of the scene for a while. That night, we just go our separate ways, intending to meet up again tomorrow as usual. The twins head off to Braithwaite House, their mum and dad's flat, though Violet and old Charlie are away at the lodge cottage in Suffolk for a few days. Normally, I'd be going back to our flat in Bow, but this particular night, I'd peel off to visit a girlfriend and stay all night. Early in the morning, police come to my home, but I'm not there, so I don't know about this. Around 8:30, I come out of the girls' place, and I'm going off to attend the normal 9 o'clock meet at Braithwaite House. I walk past the newspaper stand, and I see a placard saying something about the Krays. That's nothing out of the ordinary. They're in the papers most days. So I reach the block and get in the lift and go up to the 9th floor. As I walk along, I see these two coppers outside their flat. But even that doesn't worry me too much because the police might be there for all sorts of trivial reasons. Then I see their front doors leaning up against the outside wall and I think, oh yeah? And as I show I want to go inside, one of these coppers says, "Who are you?" Well, at this time in the underworld, I was generally known by my stepfather's name, Barry, and if the police are looking for me, that's the name they'll have down. So, perfectly deadpan, I say, "My name is Donoghue, I've got a cab firm in Bow, and I have a running account with Mr. Kray. I come here once a week to collect." The use of Donoghue throws them. They're not interested in me, so one copper says, "Well, he won't be settling up this week, so on your bike, piss off." So I do piss off. I'm gone. It was only later in the day that I read in the paper, and it was in every paper and on every news broadcast, that Ronnie and Reggie were in police custody. Nipper Reed had decided to move in. His team worked from dusk till dawn, locating everybody in the firm. Then when we were all laid down nice and quiet, they sprung the trap and wiped up the entire firm, except me, my partner Ronnie Hart, Dickie Morgan and a few others who, by luck or judgment, weren't where they thought we'd be. Despite our individual luck, it was now obvious that the great Kray game was over. It was just a matter of time. Each of us had to stay out of police clutches as long as we could to get as organized as possible for when we did get caught, clean up any loose ends of evidence, try and make provision for the wife and kids, and work out a plan for the inevitable interrogation by the old Bill. As I listened to all the reports and read the newspapers, I could see no mention of any murders. Everybody was being held on little holding charges. So I knew they had to be looking for me too. For the time being, we didn't run away. Ronnie Hart, Dickie Morgan and me carried on as usual, but discreetly. For 2 weeks, I still did the milk round, collecting from all my West End and East End protection jobs. I even visited Reggie Kray in Brixton Prison under an assumed name. He told me that Lenny Dunn was on the missing list. Lenny was the bookseller whose flat we had used to house Frank Mitchell, and he was one of the people who heard shots after I'd taken Frank out. If he had gone missing, it was a serious business. To us, that meant he was talking to the police. There was a bit in a newspaper about a grey-haired businessman who wore glasses helping with police inquiries. This fitted Lenny, so Reggie said. Go and see Big Mickey Regan. Tell him that Lenny Books is on the missing list and to see what he can do. So I went and saw Big Mickey in his office, in a gym in Marshalsea Street, close to Foreman's Pub. I told him what Reggie had said, but he didn't seem interested. I had the feeling that by now people in other firms were thinking the twins were a lost cause. Sure, if the police really did have Lenny, then by now he'd have told them the whole story. We already believed they had Cooper, Payne and Exley, so they might also have Lisa, or they'd certainly be looking for her and obviously me as well. And what about Freddie Foreman? I was the only one who knew of his role in doing Mitchell, but as the cops were sniffing around the McVitie killing too, they could be on his tail for disposing of Jack the Hat. I still had to give him Reggie's note with Jim Evans' car number on it, so I went to his pub. I found out he was on the missing list too. As soon as all the Krays had been nicked, he'd gone on the run. Round the corner at Reagan's gym, no one knew where Freddie was. So eventually I left the piece of paper with someone who knew him. I just said, "Give this to Fred. It's Evans's car." I was still looking for Lenny Books. He was no longer living in the flat at Barking Road. Who could blame him wanting to move after what had happened with Mitchell? So he managed to exchange it for another council flat in a tower block in Stratford. I went there, it was several floors up, and I shouted for him through the letterbox. The place echoed like an empty house. It had a hollow ring, no furniture or carpets, which convinced me no one was there. I was relieved because there'd been general talk of getting him drunk, feeding him an overdose of his antidepressant pills and letting him slip over the balcony. Back on Whitechapel Waste, his dirty bookstalls were closed up too. That left only two possibilities. He was helping Nipper, or he'd just run away, gone missing till everything was over. Well, that's all for this time, guys. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please join our Facebook group. It's called Krays Crime Lords of London. We're a friendly moderated group with over 1,000 Kray and other celebrated gangster videos available for view. There's also thousands of images in the photos sections. The link for the group is in the YouTube description section.